A soulless skin, tired eyes, I cold every flicker of fear.
So our second part is this a problem in the Somali community? How much of a big problem is it? If it's not, maybe it's not even a problem, right? I know that the dean allows it, but in the sense of your emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? Stability, right? Your emotional stability, your mental, all these things play a huge part when a male or a husband takes on another wife. So I guess a lot of the questions, I have a few questions for you, Bueler, because you're the only man that's on this panel right here. So my question would be, is this an everyday thing? Is she a one-off case? Or is this happening in, 5 out of, 10 marriages? What are we looking at here?
Okay, well, I'm going to say this knowing that I got to be walking a fine line, but...
Because you want to get married one day.
I mean, it's not even that. I can only speak about specific people I know.
Right.
I can't speak generally.
Right.
But maybe it will be general. I don't know. But I guess it starts. I've seen some that worked out, like they planned for it and that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it all starts how the conversation is. Like, do guys think like that? Since even as kids, we all used to talk about it as dudes. But we talked about it in a fantastical sense, like, I'm going to be in the NBA, I'm going to be a movie star, and I'm going to have 2 wives or more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was one of those, like,
Yeah.
Then I seen, like, from my personal experience, I've seen a couple of guys that got a little too ambitious. I think that's what it is, right? Like, you don't even know what you're signing up for.
Exactly.
And they got a little too ambitious and,
What's the reasoning? Okay, so what is the number one reason?
Extravagant.
As you as a man, you wake up one day, you have a wife. Right, everything's fine. It's a good marriage, right? So there's not a lot of fighting. Yeah. It's not on the rocks. You're not about to get divorced tomorrow because you hate her and you hate him. Whatever the case may be. What goes through your man as a man? What goes through your mind? You wake up that morning and you say, "I'm gonna go get another wife."
I think that raises a whole different question, right? That's the question of, what is lacking in this one for me to go seek another? Like, maybe they got married too early. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of people that rush into these things for the sake of, this is what I got to do by this age, blah, blah, blah. And they're not happy. And then, this might complete me. You know what I mean?
Do you think that would you consider yourself somebody could that be a problem in your marriage? That you got married too? I can't speak today, guys, so I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I'm drinking water. But anyways, do you feel like that you got married way too early?
I don't think so. I did. Even though I did get married at 18, it was by choice, and I really had to work hard to convince my family to do it. My dad and everyone was like, just get your education, take some time.
Right.
But for me, I've always been an old soul, and I felt like this is what I want to do.
Right.
And even though this situation happened today, I don't regret getting married early because at that time I felt like it was right.
And it didn't pose a problem to you.
And it didn't bring a problem to me.
Right.
I've lived a good life with him, alhamdulillah, up until this point, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like when you say, for example, like, for some men, they might think, oh, I'm lacking something in this marriage, let me go get another one. And that's a valid point that even my own father asked me, Because you have to ask yourself, what would make a man do that?
Right.
And we can make reasons for him, but at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes for him, I even asked him that too. I was like, okay, so tell me, what did I do wrong? What happened? Because I want to know, for my own personal knowledge, like, what do you feel like you didn't get from me?
Of course.
And he was like, no, it's nothing about you. It's nothing about you. And the only thing that he did raise previously was the children's situation.
Right.
And even that, I feel like.
But we don't know. We don't know if it's him.
But
like, he could go married to that wife, don't have any kids with her, then go to his third marriage,
and that's what I said to him.
Until he finds out that his soldiers are not marching.
It's not even that. I told him, I feel like you could be the healthiest person on the planet, fertility-wise, both a man and a woman.
Right.
And if Allah decides you're not going to have kids, you're not going to have kids.
Hands down.
So it's just, you can try. So you have to have, like, faith in Allah that, He's going to, if you want kids, you pray about it.
100%.
You hope for it.
Yeah.
It's not like you can marry, as a man, you can marry whoever you want. That doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
And I told him that, and he was like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, so if I'm right, so what are you doing? You know what I mean?
I usually don't get involved in the discussions.
Right.
But
Sorry, guys, if you guys are hearing another voice, I don't know if he's on camera or not. That is the mastermind behind Sheeko Sheeko. What did we call you last time? Jafar. Remember, Jafar used to be in our episodes, and now he's gone. He's the brain behind this. But anyway, so what were you saying?
So my point is, like growing up, Hoyo never mentioned, or Abba never mentioned about getting married to another woman. Like I never had that conversation. Like I didn't even think it was an issue until I read your story. You know what I mean? So I really, Bueller was telling me about, like, what are the reasons? Like, what do you mean? Like, how young and how old, and like, do moms tell their kids? Like, did Hoyo tell you about? Yeah, you can marry up to 4. So
No, my mom didn't.
You know what I mean? Like, so where do they get it from? You know what I mean? Like, where's this mentality? Because me, second wife, I can't even do the first one properly. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's hard enough this day and age. Yeah.
He can't deal with the first.
So,
that's a very good. Like, so what was it in this? So is it first of all, is it somebody that knows the deans, right? So is it because they know the dean? They go, you know what? I know the dean. I know my right as a man. I'm gonna exercise it, right?
Well, I mean, I guess there's some people that do that. I knew a couple of religious dudes. Really, they say, yeah, that's my plan. Like with a poker face. I mean, me, I'm going back home. That's it. I'm like, why? That sounds like a lot of trouble.
Right.
It sounds like a long story. Why are you going to do that?
Right.
And then they're adamant. They're like, no, didn't tasas me nahalay. And that's what I'm going to do to keep it, so I don't wander off.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, going back to Jafar's point, I don't think it was ever taught to us as kids.
Okay, yeah. So should we take a look at this as in, like in the States,
like the Mormons.
No, the second commandment it says you have the right to carry a gun.
Right, bear arms.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that was back in the day. You know what I mean? This is 2016. Now everybody carries a gun.
So that brings us back to the question in 2016. So one of the stipulations, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you must, if you decide to take on more than one wife, you must be equal to them in every sense. Financially, right? So if you buy one house, you have to love them equally, right? You have to share your time equally. In 2016, as a man, do you think you have a good job? All right, you're not a Saudi prince. Let's not use that. We're talking about this gentleman right here. Your husband went and was living in Edmonton. We're gonna give him about 70K. All right, average dude making good money. That's it. Can you provide for 2 women, 2 families in today's society? No, 2 houses?
Absolutely not. That's another thing why I said it's some people that get a little too ambitious. You gotta factor in finance. There's no way you can sustain 2 households making 70 G's a year. It's one household. You're making 70 G's a year. That's you covered all bases.
Right.
And you need more still. 70 G's is not what it used to be.
100%.
So, I mean, it's some guys are getting a little too ambitious. That's
can you share your time?
That is another one. I don't think that's the
right.
thing.
Can you work full time?
No.
Right. So he's got to make the money. Then you got you. Then you got her. And we got no kids just yet. Then you add kids, right?
That's
so then you gotta be good to little Jamal and then little Asha, right? Two kids. 2 different two mothers. Can you distribute to your time?
No, you cannot. You cannot. It's a setup for failure. I just don't understand. That's like.
I feel like a lot of I feel like there are some people, like you said, it works for them perfectly fine. They have their system, and it works. Right. And it's like kudos to you. You know, may Allah bless your marriages, right? A lot of girls did message me on Instagram saying, you know, like, oh, I'm the second wife, or I'm the first wife, and share their experience.
Right.
And they're okay, they're happy, and I'm like, well, and they're encouraging me to like be patient. It's gonna work out. And I asked, like, okay, so do you and the second wife or the first wife live in the same city? And most of them, they don't. So for me, I'm thinking, if you got, some of them live in 2 different countries. So how is he being equal to both of you? Like, is he flying back and forth? Does the guy have a private jet or something?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So X amount of weeks he has to spend here. You know, I feel personally, sometimes if the women are okay with it, fine, that's you. But how, like, somebody isn't getting the short end of the stick in a way. Of course, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's another thing that we never spoke about, right? Yeah. So, guys, I wanna get you guys involved in this conversation. Lying and deception are part of this deal. This process, it is part of it. Going back to the timeline, if he met this woman on Facebook, or he met, which is story a year ago, or if he met her 3 weeks ago at the bakery, either way, when you call your husband at one point in time, hey baby, how are you? How was your day? And he says to you, I was good, I was working, listen, I gotta call you back, Billy is calling me, Ahmed is calling me. But really, it's the woman that he's courting. Where does that play into this? Is it right? Is it every religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam, lying is a sin? Yeah. You shouldn't lie. It's common sense. I don't even know if it's a sin. I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't even know it's a sin. You guys educate us, right? I think it's common sense. You should not lie.
Yes,
right?
Of course, yeah.
So what do you guys think in this process? You need to lie and you need to deceive in order for you to make this happen. Because you don't meet the girl and say, hey, how you doing? How's everything? I love your croissants at the bakery. I'm getting married to you in 3 weeks.
I feel like that's their story, and they're sticking to it. And even if that's true, the reality is, you're right, you do bring up a good point. Because in order for a married man to get a second wife, like traditionally, like it used to be, how he tells his wife, or what if he doesn't tell her, and he meets a woman, and then immediately they get married, to avoid haram, and her family and everybody knows. But nowadays, it's like a guy meets a woman and he's courting her for X amount of time, but he's a married man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's like, okay, that's un-Islamic.
Yeah.
In Islam, like literally, when a guy and a girl want to talk,
right,
there has to be like a third person
yes,
there as a mahram to be.
You're in a room with another gender.
Yeah.
The third is the devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It tells you right there and then that you're not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, and we'll wrap this up real quick. But my last thing is that, oh man, I. All right. Well,